All right, welcome back to the Deep Dig a Sports Pod. This is the Diamond Pick of the Week, where we break down the best bet of the 49ers game this week. I am your host, D. As you can see, I'm running solo this week. Just everything going on with the holidays. Drew wasn't able to make it, but I am here. We're ready to break down the best bet of this upcoming 49ers game, where the 49ers are going to be taking on the Saints. Before we actually dig into that, go ahead and hit the like button. Go ahead and subscribe to this pod. We're so close to hitting 100 subs. Can you be that 100th person? I don't know, but feel free to hit it. All right. Now, digging into the bets for this week. So the San Francisco 49ers are taking on the New Orleans Saints. Again, a common theme has been the 49ers have been loved by bettors. So the spread is actually really high. But this week, I actually think that it's deserved. So they put on a performance last week. It looked really good. -9. I feel pretty good about that, actually. I'm like, I think that's some value there. I think the 49ers are going to win this one big, coming off of an amazing game last week. Money line is not very great odds, of course. So it's -469 for the 49ers to win. But if you're thinking, hey, you know what? The Saints are going to pull out an upset. Maybe this is your week to go ahead and bet the underdog. This is a +340 underdog for the Saints. Over-under is 43. I feel pretty good about that over, but I think there are some other bets that I really want to get into when we dig into the props here. And so digging into the props, I got to give it up to my main man, James Garoppolo. So Jimmy has been putting on a show lately. He's looked great. His over-under is 237.5 yards. If I'm going to be completely honest with you, I think he could hit that pretty easily. I think like the way that the offense has been ebbing and flowing, there's so many weapons. I really liked what they did with the receivers this past game. I think there's a lot of room for improvement, though. Just kind of building into a rhythm. I think that they're going to actually hit another gear on this upcoming stretch of games. So I feel pretty good about Jimmy Garoppolo and that over. Digging into the rushing yards, I think that the Saints are really, really going to have to focus on Alvin Kamara. I don't trust Andy Dalton. His over-under actually was over-under 205 yards passing. So you're really going to have to rely heavily on Alvin Kamara. He has his over-under for rushing yards is 49.5. I just think because Andy Dalton isn't that big of a threat, I'd feel pretty confident with that under. But they are going to just force feed Kamara. So we'll see. Over-under for Christian McCaffrey is 55.5. That one is a little hit and miss for me just because, again, Elijah Mitchell really does dig into those rushing attempts. So we'll see, but I think he's going to be more involved in the passing game. Receiving yards. So this is where it gets a little bit juicier for me. Again, it's going to be an Alvin Kamara heavy week for the Saints. They're going to need this guy. I think this is really good value. Alvin Kamara over 31.5 receiving yards. That one is -114, so almost even money. I actually feel great about that. I think that there's going to be a lot of checkdowns. They're going to rely heavily on Alvin Kamara. Just one of those things where you get your playmakers into space and see what happens. Going down, Brandon Ayuk had a monster game last week. He's really been emerging as wide receiver 1. His over-under is 53.5 yards. Deebo Samuel, 50.5. George Kittle, who had an amazing game in Mexico and really called for actually being more involved in the offense in the past couple of weeks. His over-under is 44.5 yards. And as you know, in the playoff game in that one shootout against the Saints, he went off. So I could see that happening again here. But my guy, if you've been riding with us for a while, you know that this is our guy. And if you haven't been riding with us, go ahead and hit that like, go ahead and subscribe, go ahead and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on all the best bets moving forward for these 49er games. Jawan Jennings, over under 16.5 yards. Why do they keep underestimating my boy? This is perfect. Even though he didn't have any catches last week, he actually had 2 deep targets, and I like them really mixing it up with Jauan Jennings. I think that even though this offense is stacked with offensive weapons, there is a spot for Jauan Jennings. As I said before, he's a good Jimmy Garoppolo target because he's big. He runs after the catch. He has that catch radius that is super huge, but also he's just a guy who gets a ton of contact and just fights through it. So I think 16.5 is perfect. That is actually minus 115. So almost even money there. Honestly, I feel great about that. I'll probably double back on this one, but put a pin in it. Over under on sacks. There is no Bosa bet this week, but Caden Ellis, if you really feel like taking a flyer on someone from the Saints getting a sack, Caden Ellis over half a sack is plus 334. We know that there have been some holes in the offensive line. You haven't really seen them lately, but they always could give up a sack. Maybe you take a chance, and there's pretty good odds at plus 334. Tackles and assists. Demario Davis, who is the team captain of the Saints, who gets a ton of tackles. He's up there every single year as far as one of the tackling leaders. Over 6.5. I would say just because of the mix with Elijah Mitchell and Christian McCaffrey and them going over the middle, Demario Davis does have a really good chance of actually hitting that over. And that would be minus 136. So if you were thinking it's going to be another heavy Christian McCaffrey day, for Christian McCaffrey to get at least 2 touchdowns this game, plus 300 odds, which we've seen is very possible with Christian McCaffrey. So if you just want to take a flyer, throw some money out there, that's pretty good odds for someone, if I would say so. If you're really, really looking to take a flyer, Jauan Jennings to get 1 touchdown is plus 450. So if you wanted to sprinkle a little bit of cash, that's a pretty good value bet there. Alvin Kamara to get a touchdown, plus 120. I actually feel really good about that, either receiving or rushing. I think that, again, it's going to be a heavy Kamara day. The 49ers diamond pick of the week. So we're going to go a little bit bigger because I had a pretty good Thanksgiving. I won 3 bets from these past 3 games on Thanksgiving. Thankful. But my diamond pick of the week is one that I've done before. It's Jauan Jennings and the over. So I'm going to go Jauan Jennings over 16.5 yards. I'm actually going to go ahead and do, let's do 175 on that. So I'm going to go ahead and lock that in right now. 175. That's the diamond pick of the week. But I'm going to give you another bet. So I feel really good about this. So also I'm going to do Alvin Kamara, the over as well on receiving yards. So 31.5 yards. Over. I also felt really good about these game props. So I think this is going to be a starching. So I feel good about big win 49ers. So that one is, so if the 49ers are win by 14, it's a plus 150. Those are pretty good odds, especially with the team that's been rolling like this. I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle a little bit on that as well. So I'm going to go Jauan Jennings, 175. I'm going to go Alvin Kamara. I'm going to sprinkle 50 on that. And I'm going to go 49ers big win. I'm going to go 50 on that. That's the diamond pick of the week. Again, if you're rocking with us, go ahead and hit that like. Go ahead and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Check out our podcasts on all audio platforms. Take it easy.